Good afternoon, Louisiana. My name is Zoe Collins-Rath, and welcome to LSU Women's Basketball Tournament Update. I'm your host, sponsored by Hancock Whitney, and with me, as always, is Scott Rabalais in his car.
In my car today, yes, en route to the New Orleans airport to fly to Greenville, South Carolina this afternoon. So, yes, it's this is what live video is all about, folks. Live stream video. This is how it is.
Live stream reporting. We're doing it all today. Scott, you were at the game on Monday when LSU made it past the second round, made it past the Big Ten opponent for a solid win against Michigan. It was a game where everyone was involved. Can you talk a little bit about how important it was to have Kateri Poole-Sard and have LaDasia Williams be on the court to help out Angel Reese, who can sometimes do it on her own?
Change, which was a little unexpected. They started Kateri Poole in place of Jasmine Carson. A little more for her defensive help against the Wolverines, who had a lot of size across the board. Not anyone really tall, but a lot of 6-foot players at the guard positions. And then they brought Jasmine Carson off the bench, and she delivered. She hit 3 big three-pointers when she came in the game to kind of get the offense jump-started in the second quarter after a slow first quarter. But they got a lot of they got some contributions off the bench, which is a little unusual for this team that they get scoring off the bench. But they played such good defense. Everyone who was in the game played such good defense throughout the game, and holding Michigan to 42 points, which was a season low for the Wolverines. A really capable team. Lost a key player from last year, but a team that made it to the Elite Eight last year, and a lot of experience coming back, more so than LSU. Experienced players playing together, and that counts for a lot in tournament time. And LSU was able to counteract that with a very impressive defensive effort and get to the Sweet 16, which was kind of a must for this program to show the improvement. They had more wins this year than last year. They had more SEC wins. They won in the SEC tournament, but they lost in the second round last year to Ohio State. And to get past that to the Sweet 16 at least was a big step for the program in the evolution of it under Kim Mulkey. And now they're off to Greenville or going back to Greenville, where the SEC tournament was, to try to win 2 more games and get to the Final Four in Dallas.
Yeah, and as Angel was saying, we're not getting comfortable. We can't get comfortable, and Kim Mulkey has done this multiple times for many, many years, and this is new for a lot of her players. So how do you balance, maybe as a coach or as a player, how do you balance, hey, living in the moment, being happy, being excited, and say, hey, we're in the Sweet 16 in her second year as a head coach, while also staying focused and looking at your scouting report and preparing for your game on Friday?
Well, like you said, you couldn't ask for much more experience than Kim Mulkey. This is her 16th Sweet 16 appearance between LSU and Baylor. She's won in this round 10 times to go on to the Elite Eight, and then won 4 times from there to go on to the Final Four with 3 national titles. So she's been here a lot. She's kind of at times downplayed the ability of her team to win and to advance, saying that they're not quite Final Four material yet, but at the same time building up their ability to let them know that they can win any given game. And I tell you, at this point, with the top seed in the regional, Indiana having lost to Miami at home in the second round earlier this week, LSU is playing Utah in the one regional semifinal. It's Miami and Villanova in the other game. LSU is favored, and and I think LSU would be favored over either team on the other side if they got to the regional final. So at this point, that makes LSU to Vegas anyway, the favorite to go to the Final Four. And Kim Mulkey keeps saying they're not Final Four ready, but they haven't achieved anything yet. Just won a bunch of games. Tap the brakes a little bit on the enthusiasm. But it's a little hard to do. It's getting harder to do, and if they win Friday, it's going to be very hard to do. The expectation will totally be for them to go to the Final Four at that point.
Yeah, and I'm working with the betting team a lot, and I wrote in a preview that for the women's tournament went up today. LSU is a 5-point favorite against Utah, and you're right. Watching all of the games this weekend with Indiana gone on this side of the bracket, I think everything just sort of opened up. And I'm going to ask this question for you, and I'm also going to ask it to Reed before I let you go. LSU was up a lot at the half, right? And they kind of blew that lead against Tennessee in the SEC semifinal game. Can you, I guess, talk about the importance and the value of being able to string together those 4 quarters perfectly and keeping your foot on the gas pedal to keep going?
Well, it's tremendously important because you can kind of sap the will of your opponent. And if LSU had come out and built the lead, say you made a couple of baskets and built the lead to 21 points, say, to start the second half against Tennessee, they probably would have won the game and made it to the SEC tournament final. But they let Tennessee get back in it, and Michigan started to get back in it in the third quarter. LSU was up 15 at the half, and Michigan cut it to 8. And you're kind of like having a little deja vu sense from LSU's SEC tournament semifinal with Tennessee, but they quickly built the lead back to 15, got the ball inside to Reese, hit a couple of jump shots, and at that point, Michigan, who LSU had been really physical with on defense, you could kind of see, that was it. They really didn't feel like they had a chance after that point. And that's what you have to do. So much of postseason basketball is mental. Yeah, you got to have great players like Angel Reese and Flau'jae Johnson and Alexis Morris, and great coaching, but
Ooh. Let's see if he hops back in. Looks like I'm sorry, Scott. You cut off there for a little bit. You were saying, yeah, it's great to have players like this, but when it's a lot stringing together,
you have to have great, you have to have great players, but you have to have confidence and a great mental frame of mind to win, to think that you can win, and think you can advance, think that you're worthy of it. And again, this is uncharted territory for a lot of LSU players, at least playing together. And but with each win, you build a little more confidence, and that goes a long way to thinking that you can do it. And you see those signs, the little extra pass, the unspoken chemistry that when the players open on a fast break and you get the ball to them, or you tipping the ball away and you get it to someone else who's running down the court. Those things all matter, and they add up for the teams that advance and as compared to the teams that don't. I think LSU is starting to get a little of that. You have to pick up the scoring a little bit against Utah. They're a high scoring team, but if they keep playing defense and rebounding like they have been, they've got a great shot to win.
Yeah. Judy says, go Utes if you're making that trip from Salt Lake City all the way to Greenville, South Carolina. Bless your heart. Scott, thank you so much for popping in. I know you got to go catch a flight, but it was great talking to you. And safe travels, please.
Thanks, though. I appreciate it. And everyone just keep checking out all our coverage at theadvocate.com, NOLA.com, and in the paper, we'll bring it. We're going as long as the Tigers are going, so that's we'll be there for you.
Yes, we will. Thank you. Bye. And now, Reed Darcey was just chilling in the background. How you doing, Reed?
I'm doing awesome, Zoe. How are you?
Good. Now, you are on scouting report duty, and we'll get to your scout of Utah in a minute, but I pose the same question to you that I asked Scott. It's very important to string together all 4 quarters in a game and not get into any slumps. Kim Mulkey called the timeout, excuse me, when Michigan went on a 5-0 run coming out of the half in the third quarter. Kim, you think they can still string together those 4 quarters when they play Utah?
Yeah, absolutely. I was super impressed by how they responded to that little lull they hit in the third quarter. It really only lasted 2 or 3 minutes, where the other offense kind of fell out of sync and lost its rhythm. I think once they did that, they sort of relied on their defense again to get them back in the game, which was huge. Kateri Poole was awesome, as well as Angel Reese and LaDacia Williams. That was probably the best defensive game I've seen Angel Reese play as a Tiger this year. She was just incredibly dominant, rebounding the ball and blocking shots. She was awesome. So I think I really like how they responded to that little stretch in the third quarter where the offense kind of lacked, because it did not take them very long at all to get back in rhythm.
Yeah. Angel Reese said it was an off night for her, but how can it be an off night with 25 points and 23 rebounds? How?
No, I think what she was talking about was her shooting numbers weren't exactly what she wants them to be, but but that was the best game I've ever seen her play. That was definitely the best game of her career. Just when you combine the performance and the importance of the game, like let me look here. She had 25 points, 24 rebounds, 14 of those were offensive rebounds. She also had 4 assists, 6 blocks. So it's just like she was dominant. She was a force, and like there's not much you can say about that.
Yeah, and Angel Reese being LSU's dominant force is going back to Greenville, and she's going to probably be matched up against Elisa Pilley, Utah's main number 1 force. She is a transfer from the other USC, University of Southern California. I've looked at some of her games. She can shoot the ball really well, and she is a big post player. Yeah. What's the scouting report, my good sir?
Well, she's one of very few players in the country who can combine a high scoring output, efficiency, both from the field and from beyond the arc. She shoots 42% from 3. Granted, it's only on 2.2 attempts per game, I believe. Mm-hmm. But that's a super dangerous part of her game. Not many post players in the country can step outside the arc and knock down threes at that clip. But it's not just her 3-point shooting that she's really good. It's also her mid-range scoring and her points in the paint, because she's shooting close to 60%, I believe, on those looks, and she's averaging over 20 points a game. So I think there aren't many players who can combine all 3 aspects of those games and be super efficient with it. So I think she presents a lot of challenges for sure, and the Utah's their offense sort of revolves around her a lot. So Angel Reese is probably going to be matched up with her and LaDacia Williams. So I expect Angel Reese to have to go out on the perimeter maybe more often than she's used to, but I think she's got the foot speed, the quickness to handle that. Going back to some of her guard skills and her background as a guard. So I think she can handle some of that.
Absolutely. And it's, as I think we were talking about earlier, it's about everyone else coming in and making sure it's not just on one person. It's everyone else. It's people coming off the bench making a huge impact. If LSU can make it past Utah, which is probably going to be their hardest game of the 3 so far that they've had in the first round, second round of Sweet 16, you think they can make it to the Final Four, or at least the Elite 8?
Absolutely. I was super impressed by the Michigan game. I expected that game to be close. I expected it to be tough. I expected Michigan's length and their size down low to be a real problem. I expected Michigan to at least keep LSU off the glass in some kind of way. I expected Angel Reese to struggle with their physicality down low. I expected their length on the perimeter to disrupt Alexis Morris and Flau'jae Johnson and Jasmine Carson. I expected all that to happen, and none of that happened. And LSU just came in and they just ran them out of the gym from the opening tip. So I was super impressed by how they handled Michigan, a Michigan team that Kim Mulkey said she thought was underseeded, and that should have been one of the hosts potentially. So the way that they just physically dominated them, and they out rebounded them by about 20 rebounds. It's just, that's unheard of. That's crazy. So I think I was blown away by that performance by Michigan, and I think if they play as well as they did, maybe shoot a little better than they did, they play as well as they did against Michigan, then they're absolutely a Final Four contender.
And we've seen those great shooting games before. And that is it for our show. We will be back tomorrow at 11 a.m., I believe, on all of The Advocate, NOLA.com, YouTube, Facebook. Tell your friends, tell your family that we will be doing all of these shows and writing all the women's basketball content until there is none left to write. And for Scott Rabalais, who is getting ready to fly off to Greenville, South Carolina, and Reed Darcey. I'm Zoe Collins-Rapp. Thanks for watching, y'all.
Thank you.